Hello everyone, welcome to episode 5 of Let's Design Diablo. This is a tough one. We worked for about an hour on this and don't make much progress. We work on textures. I think was a tiny bit frustrating at the end, but really nothing major. Just we don't make a ton of progress, but I want to show everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly of what goes into a design like this. It's not always a straight line forward. So I want to show everything in the series of videos, not just the ones that are exciting or the ones that just the streams that work really well. There's some that aren't, but this is not a boring video, not to say that at all. Well, assuming you find any of it interesting, you would probably find this one interesting too, because we do try a lot of things. It's not just sitting there looking at it. It's attempting to use all these different types of rock textures to create a background that is the right shape and the right texture. It's not easy to do, especially when you don't have just like Blizzard might have maybe artists sort of working for them. I don't have that ability personally, and I don't have anyone like doing that. So, or creating any drawings or anything like that. So anyway, we're patching this together. We're trying different things. We're, cutting and pasting from images that I took on vacation of rock textures. I think they would work. They will work just fine. But in this video, we don't come to any resolution as to what the background should be, and I think it ends, not to spoil it, but it sort of ends the way it began. But we go through an interesting process in the meantime, and I hope you'll stick with me through it, because this is, part of the idea with this set of videos is to show just how difficult this is. And I'm by far not the most talented person to be undertaking this project, and even for people who are much or do this like as their job every day, which I don't, this is really tough. Because you're trying to create something that looks and feels very particular way with assets that are, not themselves at all perfect. So, we're just looking at this one potential image to use as a background, because I do like that crack on the bottom right. I think that might work pretty well as a separator between the background and the foreground of the bar. But in order to kind of get it the way that I like it, for some reason I'm having to make it white almost. So I'm not really sure why that is, and obviously that won't work. I'm trying to use take the inverse of that layer, and that's what we're doing right there. I kind of thought that would work a lot better. I thought it would make the whites white and the darks dark, and so when you flip it, what's light would look dark. But the problem is it's not really white. What looks white is sort of gray, actually. And so gray, when you invert it, is just sort of a different shade of gray, depending on how far that original gray was from either the white or the black end of the spectrum. So we're not really getting much in the way of a darker appearance to this texture. So I can sort of see what I want it to look like, but I just don't know how to get it there. So we're playing with the levels a bit, and that's kind of close somewhat. Trying to, all right, let's fade it out and see what we have. But it really doesn't look right, and not exactly sure why that is. The edge just feels a little bit blah. There's nothing really all that interesting about that texture, so I was sort of trying to figure out a way maybe we could use a divider of some kind to highlight something more interesting about it. But nah, it's not really doing what we wanted to do. This is a lot of trial and error, and that's all right. I mean, that's really how progress is made. You have to be patient. There's going to be days like this, and I think, as you'll see in future videos, we definitely push past this issue. But right now, it is a bit of a challenge. I do like how that background, that first layer of rock texture, is interacting with that new layer. And so it's sort of sort of like a forward slash on the end and then a backslash right next to it. And that seems pretty cool. And the combination of those two textures seems pretty cool. We also get what sort of looks like a spiderwebby type texture back there, which actually maybe has some promise. So not everything we do here is bad by any means in this video or on this stream. That's interesting. Not sure it totally works, but it is on the blue side. It is on the mana globe side, so that blue color sort of makes sense there. But I'm not sure what it is. Like, I'm not sure if it's a spider web, if it's a rock, or whatever. Maybe it doesn't matter. So, I'm taking the opportunity to clean some things up. Sometimes when the design juices are not flowing as well as we want them to, it's a good time just to do some housekeeping. So we're smoothing out some hard edges that made their way into that mana globe area. And also a good thing to do when you're struggling is just show and hide layers, see what happens, move some assets around. So take an asset that you thought you'd use later and try to use it now. Maybe this like torn flag will look cool under the angel or the demon. Not really seeing anything hugely impressive about any of that, but it's a good time to do it. Sometimes you'll be like really not feeling it, and then you'll turn one layer on and it's like, whoa, okay, now this is looking cool. So it's just a matter of getting back on track, which is no problem. That will definitely happen. And don't get, it's also important not to get too attached to what you're doing, because it's going to look great sometimes, going to look terrible other times. And, 2 steps forward and 1 step back is totally fine. That's more progress forward than back, and eventually you'll get where you want to go. So some of that image is like foliage, so we obviously don't want to use that. I thought maybe, all right, let's look at the bar underneath. Let's look at the area underneath that bar to see if we can create a texture that we would like to use under there. We're moving it or adjusting. We're going to be blending it in. We're going to be adjusting levels and whatnot to try to make it fit in better. There's the levels. Yeah, I really thought that levels would help a lot, but what I'm learning about the levels filter is that while sometimes it looks awesome, other times it just makes things look like they have a ton of. It just gives it a lot more contrast, and that's kind of not what we want. But what we're seeing now under the mana globe is kind of interesting. It's sort of a, rainbowy like rock looking thing under there, as if the globe is kind of inset into the rock and maybe emitting light of some kind, and it's making it look a little bit glowy, which is neat. I think that something like that could definitely work. Leave it there for a while and see whether it has potential. Overall, though, not loving the way that area under the bar is coming together. It has a wrong sense of 3 dimensions or dimensionality to it. Like the texture under the bar looks like it's coming forward, and the bar is like inset into it, and it just looks totally different from the bar itself, and it's more realistic looking, and the bar itself has those ornamented like swirly figures, which are really neat. Both could work, but I don't think that they work particularly well together. Nonetheless, we push forward, and we will get past this. It's a good time to move things around. Try bigger things. Like the less confident you feel about the direction you're going in, the more change probably needs to happen. And again, sometimes a big change can really get you re-energized. It looks kind of neat when you move that background texture away and it's sort of dark back there. I don't know. Yeah, there it is. That's not bad. If we could even it out a bit in terms of what parts of it are coming forward and which parts of it are sitting in the background, something like that could work. That's nice too. How that shape sort of follows. I don't know. It flows nicely into the texture that's more towards the right-hand side. Just trying different things, and we're playing with this idea that the mana. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, the mana globe is sitting on top of that area. That's really nice. Yeah, I do like that a lot. Maybe we do come away with something here. Again, I'm not sure that we end up committing to that, but it's not bad. And we may use this texture again. It may be that this texture, we hide it for a while, and then later on we show it, and it gives us an idea, sparks some idea about what should happen next. So it's not as though when we're not making immediate progress that what we're doing is useless. Actually, sometimes what you do when you're not, or just experimenting with a design that's not working, will be really helpful in the future to make something that is working even better. That's a lot about what, so maybe this video is just more, how to deal with a day that's not going your way. Take breaks is another really good piece of advice, and to not get emotionally attached to anything you're doing, because it's all whatever. Like, it's not going to be, I don't know, it's all going to be compromised in the end anyway. Designers will tell you this all the time, and that the client, or what it is, or boss, or whatever, is likely going to pretty significantly change what you think looks great anyway. So this is really an interesting, if progress is made in this video, it's right here, where we sort of see that I don't know what they call it, like a sort of a gilded metal-like texture beneath the rock. And if you go back and look at that, I think that has a lot of potential. So it's good to see that, actually, because in the future, I hope to remember that. Thanks everyone for watching, and I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.